Hi everyone, this is Ryan Korn from OCIO, and I want to share with you today 4 steps to get you on the fast track to Windows 10. Now, when we do the Windows 10 deployment, we're going to have 2 classes of service. Standard service for folks who have more complicated needs, special applications, maybe some access databases, things like that. But we're also going to offer a fast track service for users who really don't have a lot of complicated needs. And the vision there is we can get you a new computer and get you on Windows 10 in 20 minutes or less. So there are 4 steps to being on the fast track service. The first is making sure your bookmarks are exported and ready to go from Internet Explorer and whatever browsers you're using. Making sure that your OneDrive is up to date so all of your files will carry over onto your Windows 10 computer. Checking to see if you have any PST files, and if you do, getting them imported into Outlook 365 so that they are backed up, saved, and again can come over onto your Windows 10 computer. And then finally, making sure that any files that are not saving to OneDrive are backed up on your F drive so you can access them on your new Windows 10 computer. So let's get started with step number 1, making sure that your bookmarks are exported. So I'm going to open up Internet Explorer, and to export any of your Internet Explorer bookmarks, you're going to go to the star, click this drop-down menu here, click Import and Export, go to Export to a File, click Next, click Favorites, Next. And now if you just want a certain folder, maybe you want to reorganize or clean up your bookmarks, you can choose a certain folder, but I want all of them. So I'm going to click Favorites, click Next, go to Browse so I know where I'm saving this thing to. I'm going to save it to my desktop and call this IE Bookmarks. Click Save, Export, and Finish. And if I go to my desktop, there we go. See, IE Bookmarks. And we'll import these into your new browser on Windows 10. Now, it's the same process to export your bookmarks in Chrome and Firefox if you're using those web browsers, but please know that you will generally not have access to Chrome and Firefox on Windows 10. Instead, you'll have access to Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge, which is the new Microsoft web browser, so just be aware that without an exception, you won't have access to Chrome and Firefox. You'll still be able to import your Chrome and Firefox bookmarks into Edge and Internet Explorer. You just won't be able to use Chrome and Firefox on your Windows 10 computer. So that's step 1, making sure that your bookmarks are exported so that we can make sure that they're on your Windows 10 computer. And last step, you see here they have a check mark, so that means they are syncing to OneDrive. Want to make sure that they are syncing to OneDrive as well. Speaking of OneDrive, moving on to step 2, we want to make sure that our OneDrive is up to date so that all of our data is available on our Windows 10 computer. So the easiest way to do that is just to look down here at the cloud. Now, if you don't have an X, it'll say OneDrive is up to date, and then you are good to go as long as all of your files are there. If they're not, you want to make sure to move your files there, and you can watch the OneDrive training video for more information on how to do that. But you see on this computer, it says 2 files weren't uploaded to OneDrive. So maybe that's okay, maybe that's a problem. Let's take a look here. So if I open it up, 2 items can't be synced. Okay, so we see we have an executable file here, this camtasia.exe. So this is an okay thing to have. So again, we are not syncing executable files to OneDrive. Again, more information on that in the OneDrive training video. But if I click it, it'll take me there. And yeah, we are just not syncing executable files. So this happens to be an application. I'll have to submit a software request for that. But this is just not coming over. So my OneDrive is fine. Now there was another file here, test.pst. So there it is. So PST files are also not going to be coming over through OneDrive. I'll show you how to deal with PST files in just a moment or so. But right now, my OneDrive is okay. Now, let's say I want to add other files. I didn't bring all my files over yet. My desktop isn't syncing for some reason. So I can make sure that all my files are in OneDrive. So I have this test file here, test, and I have a folder, test, oh my God, okay. So let's try adding this into my OneDrive. Right now it's checked, it's good, but let's say I'm adding it into my OneDrive folder. Oh, we can't sync this item because the path is too long. So that is one of the limitations of OneDrive. Right now we can only sync file paths that are less than 400 characters. So this here it says, shorten the path by 142 characters and try again. So you're going to have to make sure to do that because let's say I want this file, I need this file. Well, I need to make sure to shorten the name so that it syncs over to OneDrive. again, I would really encourage you to watch the OneDrive training video. There are a couple things that we can't sync to OneDrive, so we want to make sure that you're aware of them so that everything gets carried over correctly to your Windows 10 computer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit exit and see this file can't sync. So now I'm going to go and change the name. So we'll just change it back to test. So we've shortened that file path. And now, yep, should be all good, sync into OneDrive. Okay. So the other thing that you want to make sure to do, that's another best practice, is to migrate your F drive over to your OneDrive. So I'm going to open up my F drive folder here. So OCIO users, and then I'm going to go to my folder. And then what I want to do is I want to drag my folder over. I strongly recommend not copying and pasting, because if you do, then you're going to end up with duplicates. So you want to drag these over into your OneDrive folder. So you can open up a new folder, OneDrive, and you can just drag them over into your folder. Now you can also do a select all and drag these over into your OneDrive all at once. So I'm just going to press Control and then A, and that selects them all, and then I can drag it over into my OneDrive folder. Okay. Now I would be a little careful with that just to make sure that your file paths aren't too long. Then you're going to have a lot to change. But generally speaking, if you do it one at a time, or even a Control A and select all and move everything over, it should be really easy just to transfer it to your OneDrive. Eventually, the F drives are going to go away, and so it's just best practice to have that done now. And again, you can watch the OneDrive training video to learn more about the advantages of using OneDrive. And in addition to the OneDrive training video, feel free to look at the Quick Start Guide on Yammer and on the Yes page, or through watch some videos through TMC for more information on OneDrive. Okay, so that's step 2, making sure that your OneDrive is up to date. Step 3, you want to check to see if you have any PST files, those Outlook data files that we created a few years ago when we were migrating to Outlook 365. So if you don't have any PST files, you can disregard this step. If you do have PST files, this is how we're going to migrate your email into Outlook 365. Now, again, this is a best practice. We will not be able to create PST files in Windows 10. They can corrupt those files, and then you'll lose your email. It can also slow down the network substantially. And most importantly, they're not backed up anyway. Right now, if you have a PST file, it is sitting on your hard drive most likely. And if something happens to your hard drive, you're going to lose all those emails. So we want to make sure that they are imported in Outlook, not opened in Outlook, imported in Outlook. So let me show you how we're going to do that. I have this test PST that I've created here, and I'm going to open up my Outlook, and I'm going to go to File, Open, and Export. Now, it's very important that you do not choose Open. I repeat, do not choose Open. A lot of people have chosen Open, and then their PST file just sits here, mounted in their Outlook. But that's not what we want. We don't want to read the PST file. We want to import the PST file. So I'm going to go to Open, Import, Export, and then I'm going to go to Import from another program or file. And it says import data from other files, such as Outlook data files, PST, and text files. So I'll click Next. Outlook data file, PST. Next. And we'll click Browse. And I saved mine to my desktop. So here we go, my test PST. And I'm going to click Open. And then you can choose, do you want to replace duplicates, allow duplicates to be created, or do not import duplicates? Personally, if you're not sure, I would recommend saying allow duplicates, but it's up to you how you want to manage your email and your data. So I'm going to say allow duplicates, but you could just as easily say replace duplicates or do not import duplicates. Up to you. I'm going to choose allow. Click Next. And then you can choose the individual folders that you want to bring in. Now, most people are going to want to bring their entire data file in. So again, I would just recommend clicking Outlook data file. And then you want to import items into the same folder in the current email account, or do you want to create new? Do you want to create a new folder? Okay, it's up to you. I would say import items into the same folder. That way it maintains the same file architecture that you have, and click Finish. Now, for me, it's going relatively quickly because I just created a test file. But if you have an Outlook data file, a PST file, that has maybe 25 gigabytes of emails, that can take a really long time to import. So in that case, I would recommend doing it at the end of the day and letting it run overnight so that your files are importing when the network is not busy and when you don't need to be using your computer. Okay, so that is what we're going to do to import PST files. And then the last thing, I've imported my PST files. So the emails will be added back into these folders. Or if they're older than 2 years, they would move into your online archive mailbox. Okay, these that I did in the test were not older than 2 years, but this is where your emails would appear. And then they would be backed up and synced to Office 365 through Outlook 365, and you wouldn't have to worry about losing your emails. And then last but not least, and this is very important, is I recommend once you see that your emails are added into O365, delete them. Delete the PST file because it's not coming over anyway into Windows 10. So I'm going to click Delete. I'm going to click Yes. I have it open because it's still importing. So when it's all done, I would recommend deleting the PST files. And if you want to check to make sure that your files are syncing in Outlook 365, you can go to the Waffle, open up the Outlook Office 365 app, and check to make sure that your emails are where you think they should be. Okay, and again, here's my regular mailbox and the archive mailbox. Okay, for emails that are older than 2 years. All right. So that is how we're going to sync PST files. So the last thing that we're going to do is make sure that any other files that aren't syncing to OneDrive are backed up and ready to go on your Windows 10 computer. And for those files, maybe it's an Access Database is the most common one, you would make sure that those are in your F drive. So again, go into my F drive, and drag in those files, not your PST, but any other files that are not syncing to OneDrive back into your F drive. And that way you'll be ready to go for the Windows 10 migration. So those are the 4 steps to getting on the fast track. And again, if we can do that, then we think that we'll be able to get you your Windows 10 computer, get you up and running in 20 minutes or less. All right, thanks for listening. And if you have any other questions, I encourage you to watch the standard service video after this one to see if you have any additional issues that we can help you resolve as part of the Windows 10 migration. Thanks so much.